Sixth graders, this is Ms. Reynolds, and we are doing some long division practice with decimals. The way I suggest you do this is to copy down the problems, work them while you have the video paused. So you're going to copy the problem, pause the video, work the problem, come back. I will tell you the answer first before I start working so that if you have the answers correct, you can fast forward through the video to the next set of problems and do the same thing. If you don't have the answers correct, you can check the problem that you missed, okay? So the first problem I'm going to do here, and you can see I've already started by moving the decimal. I cannot divide by a decimal divisor. I personally do not know how to think about that. So I have to treat my divisor like a whole number so I can think about groups of whole numbers. So that's why I want it to be a whole number. You can see here I am right here, that I have moved the decimal to the end of the number so it can be a whole number. It took me one place of moving the decimal, which means my number is now 10 times larger than it was. So then I'm going to move into my dividend and do the same exact thing. I'm going to make it 10 times larger as well by moving the decimal one time, the same amount of time. Okay? Then when I get ready to work the problem, I bring my decimal straight up. I do not bring my decimal straight up before I move it. That will end up either with you having two decimals, which is going to be wrong, or with having a decimal in the wrong place and you have one decimal. So don't, when you're dividing by divisors with decimals, do not put the decimal point in the quotient above the line until you have moved the decimal in the dividend. Okay? All right. So then I suggest that you rewrite the problem. Okay, I'm going to do this with a text box instead because it's just faster for me to do that. So this is 40. Notice, no decimal. It's a 1. Then my decimal. Then my 6. Okay? All right, so this was your new problem. If you were here to check the answer, I'm going to show it to you real quick. Here we go. The answer is 25.1. All right? Okay. If you were here to check the answer on the other problem, the answer is 1.89, 1 and 89 hundredths. Okay. So if you got those correct, you go on. If you didn't get them correct, I'm going to do this first problem. So if you got the first one correct, just fast forward on to the second problem. If you missed the first problem, watch me, okay? All right, so now I'm going to know that I need a 16 fact box. So you can see I've started my fact box over here with 16. That's one group of 16. Two groups of 16, I just doubled the 16 and got 32, okay? So I'm going to see, will that work with where I am so far? So I start dividing. I see a 4 in the first place. And remember, I'm treating this just with one place at a time. So can 16 go into 4? No, I'm putting a 0 because I need to fill that place. Otherwise, I'm probably going to get my digits in the wrong place in the in the quotient. All right, so I can't divide 4, so I'm going to divide 40. Whoops. Divide 40, and I can do that because there is a number in my fact box over here. Sorry, I can't divide 4. I can't underline 40 today. So I'm going to go over to my fact box and find a number less than 40 on the right. Okay, I see 32 is less than 40, and it's close enough, so I must need a 2 right here. Oops, let me do that with the marker. Okay, 2. 2 times 16. Well, that's what this is, two groups of 16. That's the multiplication part, so I'm going to do the 32. Now I am at the subtraction step, so I subtract. This is going to require me to regroup, but only one time. Look. So I'm going to cross out the 4 here. I'm going to regroup from the 4. And that's going to let one of those place values come over here and make 10 of the place value next door. And I circle it so that I can see I'm dealing with the number 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. Okay, so I didn't write a 3 here. I took away 1 from the 4, so it should be a 3. I'm not doing it today because it just saves time. Okay, so if it's going to be the same, I'm just leaving it and no, I have nothing left. Okay, so now I bring down the 1 because what I got when I subtracted is less than a group of 16. I only have 8, can't make a group of 16. So I know I can start over by regrouping, which means bringing down this 1. Okay, so now I'm looking for the number 81. Okay, I've not completed my fact box, so I'm going to go over here and think, all right, now I told you guys that I would probably work on this fact box by doing some little mental math tricks, which one of my mental math tricks is to take the 10 fact, which just means putting a 0 on the end of 16, so 160. And since 5 is half of 10, I can take half of 160. Well, that's like taking half of 16 tens, right? So half of 16 tens would be 8 tens. And that is my 5 fact. 80. Whoa, that's exactly what I needed. So I choose to do that one first because it's simple, right? It has a 0 in the end, so I can work with it easily. If you do not know how to do that, if I just said something you did not understand, then you need to write out the problem of 16 times whatever you want to try. I tried the 5 because I know it was a lot more than 2, but it's not down near 10, so I'm just going to try the 5 to get an idea of what's kind of in the middle there, okay? So you might have to do multiplication problems. If you don't, you're not going to get it right. So you're going to have to do it. So carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, so look how I did that multiplication. And then I know 80. All right, so that worked out. I got lucky. Whoa, I didn't bring my decimal up. Big mistake. Okay, so now I know that that 5 fact gets me close to where I need to be to 81. So the 5 fact, that's the division. Now multiply, I already know the answer is 80. Okay, subtract, I'm going to get 1, right? Check, is 1 less than 16? Of course it is. And then I'm going to bring down my next place value, which is the 6. It's kind of like a reverse regrouping when I do that, when I'm bringing down. Okay, well, that one's easy, right? Because that's 16, and I need a groups of 16. Well, I can get one group. 1 times 16 is 16. And subtract it out, I'm going to be left with 0. So you can either put the 0, or my teachers taught me you could just put 2 lines, and that was the same as saying that's the end of my problem. I ended with no leftovers, still going. Okay? Okay, so we're going to go over to this other problem. So again, can't divide by a decimal, so I have to get the decimal over to the end of the divisor. I need to move how many places? 1, 2. If I move 2 places in the divisor, now I have the whole number 16. I now need to move 2 places, the same number of places in the dividend, 2 places. 1, 2. So now I'm going to write my new problem. And I'm telling you guys, I've seen a lot of y'all not writing the new problem. You just kind of try to work it with all this mess. And it is a mess, and a lot of times we're making mistakes. So just rewrite it. It's just easier. Okay? So this is going to be the whole number 16. Let me move that over. And I'm dividing it into, what is my new dividend? Well, my decimal is now over here. So the number I'm dealing with is the number. Let's see how I determine that. I'm going to go from, I don't need a decimal on the front of a 0 on the front of a number, so that goes away. This number running up to the decimal is 30, okay? So I'm going to write in 30, then my decimal is after the 0, okay? Right here. I'm going to go straight up, go ahead and put it, and then 2, 4, right? And it is important, you guys will notice, that I am lining up my numbers right above the numbers in the dividend. Okay, let's watch. All right. Oh, sorry about that 16 being red. Okay, so I have 16. I am trying to divide the 3. Can't do it. That's a 0. Then I'm trying to divide the 30. Yes, 30 is larger than 16, so I can definitely get at least one group. Check your fact box. Yes, 32 is too much, right? So you have to back up to the 16. That is one group. 1 times 16 is 16. Okay, that's the multiply step. Now we are subtracting. All right. So I again have to regroup. This time when I take away 1 to regroup, I am left with a 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. That 1 goes next door as 10 of this place value. I circle it so I can see clearly it is 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 2 minus 1 is 1. That's less than 16, but barely. So I bring it down. So if it's barely less than 16, that tells me that when I regroup this, I'm going to need a high fact. Okay. So 142. I've got 160. So if I want the 9 fact, I could take away 16 from 160, which would take away 10 would be 150. Take away another 6 would be 150 minus 6, 144. Too much, right? Well, if 144 is too much, but it is barely too much, then I know that I must need the 8 fact. Go ahead and put the 8, and then I'll figure out the 8 fact. So since we're in a hurry, I won't try to do the doubling trick, which I could do with 2 and get to 4, and then 4 and get to 8. I'm just going to go ahead and put 16 times 8 down here and work it with the multiplication. Okay? Y'all may hear my phone dinging. I'm sorry if that's distracting. So here I've got 16 times 8. 8 times 6 is, I'm just going to turn my phone off because people are just texting like crazy. Okay. 8 times 6 is 48. And regroup the 4. Okay? 8 times 1 is 8 plus the 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. So I have 128. So I know my 8 fact is 128. I'm going to record it here because you never know when you're going to need the 8 fact again. You want to remember, right? Although we're going to put it right here. Multiply. 8 times 16 is 128. So then my next step is to subtract. Okay? I go to subtract. I cannot subtract 2 minus 8, so I'm going to have to regroup. So that's going to be a 3 there, and that 1 goes over here to make a 10. So now I am dealing with the number 12. Minus 8 is 4. 3 minus 2 is, oh, yay, 1. And looky here, I'm going to bring down that 4. And I have seen the number 144 in my fact box before. Aren't we glad we're keeping track? There it is, 144. That is 9 groups of 16. That's the division. Put your 9 up here. Multiply, you already know from your fact box that you've already multiplied. That is 144. And when you subtract it, you know you will get 0. So you are done, and you can put your 2 lines or a 0. Let's go on to the next set of problems. Okay, so go ahead and write down these 2 problems. Then I want you to pause the video. You must be able to work these problems by yourself. I'm going to assume you've worked the problems, you've come back, you want to check your answers. So we're going to check answers, and then I'll work the problem. Okay, so this answer to first problem is 0.241. Remind me, well, you can't remind me, you're not in person. I want to come back and talk about why that is less than 0. And if you did this problem over here, the answer is 3.56, 3 and 56 hundredths. Okay? All right, so now let's go back into the problem and talk. Let's use a different color because I'm getting bored with the aqua. We'll do some crimson. I'm not going to say it. All right, guys. Okay, so here I see that I have the dividend point. There really should be a 0 in front of it, right? 0.5784. And I am dividing by 2.4. What? Look, my dividend is less than a whole, and my divisor is more than a whole. Anytime the dividend is smaller, this number inside the division box is smaller then what you are dividing by, you are going to get an answer that is less than 1. So your answer will have to start with a 0, and then you could have another 0, who knows? But everything's going to be on the right of your decimal because you cannot get one whole group of 2.4 out of something that is less. It's barely, in fact, it's just over a half. So you can't do that and get a whole number. All right, so maybe that would help you check your work sometime to know that answers to problems like that should be less than 1. All right, so the next thing I do, I think this is a decimal divisor. Get that decimal to the end. I moved it one time. So that means I must move this decimal one time. Remember, you're not just moving decimals, you're changing numbers. You're making each number 10 times greater so that they stay in the same relationship with each other. Okay? All right, so now you know you have a new problem. So I'm going to write our new problem over here. It is, let's write in black. Okay. All right, so your new problem, you have a whole number divisor, 24. Move that up a little bit. And your dividend is 5 decimal. Okay, and I'm going to put the decimal in just a minute up top. 784. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go back. I'm going to put my decimal straight up, right? That's so important. All right, so now I think I'm just taking one place at a time, treating it like it's just a whole number, and it's like it kind of like in a ones place almost. Well, this one actually is in a ones place. All right, so I have 5. I want to get a group of 24. I cannot do that. So since I can't do it at all, there are no groups I can make out of 5. So I go over to where it says 57. Okay, now I look at my fact box. I've done the 1 fact and the 2 fact, and I see that 48 is pretty close to 57. Okay, so it's probably going to work out to use the 2 fact. Now, when I say probably, what I mean by that is when I multiply and then subtract, I probably won't be able to get another group of 24. But you have to multiply and subtract to see. Okay? I'm going to erase this underline because I'm worried sometimes it doesn't make sense to you guys there. Okay, so now that's the divide step. I am multiplying 2 times 24 is 48. Okay, that's in my fact box. And then I'm going to subtract. And when I regroup, I'm going to have a 4 up here, so I'm just going to leave that blank, knowing I don't need to subtract. Okay, and next door, that is 10 in that place. So 10 and 7. I'm not just using 10 minus 8. It is 10 plus the 7 I have there. 17 minus 8 is 9. Bring down the 8. Okay. So now I'm thinking, oh, did you notice that what I had here left over was 9, which was smaller than 24, so I can't get another group of 24, so the 2 was correct. Okay. So now I'm thinking 98. I know that if I, sorry about that, double 48, that gets me 96. So since that, I doubled the 2 fact. 2 doubled is 4. So the 2 fact doubled. 48 and 48 is 96. That's just a fact I kind of know. 48 plus 48 is 96 just from doing math so many years. Okay? So that tells me to use my 4 fact. If you did not know that, you'd just have to multiply, right? 4 times 24 is 96. Okay, I subtract it out. I only have 2 left. That's great. Oh, awesome. Because I see that when I bring down, obviously 2 is less than 24. Bring down that, 4. Sometimes it's easier to bring it up using this tool. All right, so put my arrow here. Okay. Bring down the 4. I have 24. That means I can get one group of 24. 1 times 24 is 24, and I can, I'm trying to rush, y'all, so it's not such a long video, and it's making me make mistakes. It's a good lesson. Rushing usually causes mistakes, right? Okay, so I have 24, and when I subtract, of course, that leaves me nothing. I can do double line or I can do 0. Okay, so the answer is 0.241, which makes sense because my dividend, look right here, 5 point something is less than 24. So my answer should be less than 0. Okay, come over here, second problem. Okay, I almost started writing my divisor because I know what it's going to be because I know I have to have a whole number. So it's going to be 24 again, right? Well, I'm not going to write it there. I'll type it for y'all. Okay, so because I moved my decimal 2 times here, I must move it 2 times in the divisor. So I would be looking for it to be about right here, right? Okay, but I'm rewriting the problem. Please rewrite the problem. I'm begging you. Okay, your new divisor is 24. All right, so let's go over what's our new dividend. Well, I do not need the 0 in front of a whole number. See, this is now the number 85, right? I don't need a 0 in front of 85, so I don't have to pay attention to that. I can just type the 85. Then there's my decimal. Then 4, 4. Okay. So I want to go ahead and bring my decimal straight up. This time, I'll use orange. Do y'all know why? Oops, I turned that orange, didn't it? Hold on. Okay, I will write with orange. Okay. So now, I cannot divide just an 8 by 24, so I'm going to put a 0. Okay? That's a little over the place there. I really should have it straight up. Then I'm going to try 85. Well, how many 24s can I get out of 85? Well, 96 is too much. Look at my fact box. And 48 is too little, so it's going to be the 3 fact, right? So I can go ahead and put the 3. Whoops, you know what I need? Somebody yelling at me? Put your decimal in, Ms. Reynolds, before you make a mistake. Yep. So 3 times 24 is the math I need to do. So you could get that by adding 24 to 48, or just multiply the 24 times the 3, right? Or you could subtract from the 96. But I'm going to show the multiplication because we need the multiplication practice, a lot of us. Okay, so 3 times 4 is 12. Notice that I can only put the 2, and then I have to regroup the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, and then I have a regrouped number to add. 6 and 1 is 7. Okay, so the 3 times 24 is 72. Okay, so that's the multiply step. I get it from my fact box. I put 72. And now I am ready to, trying to get that 2 there, subtract. Okay, so when I subtract, I'm going to get 3, and 8 minus 1 is 7. Awesome. Ooh, that worked out. Wait. 8 minus 7 is not 7. You know how I know? 73 is more than 24. So that, when I went to check, tipped me off. Said I did something wrong. What was it? It was a little subtraction mistake, right? Okay. Glad I checked. It's a good object lesson. 8 minus 7 isn't 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. So now 13 is less than 24, so I bring down my 4. 134. Okay. Look over in my fact box, and I've got up to 96. I'm wondering if 5. Okay, well, let's do my 10 trick, right? The 10 trick would be put a 0 on the end, so that would be 240. And then if I take half, that's the 10 fact, right? So if I take half of that, that gives me the 5 fact because 5 is half of 10. So what's half of 240? Well, half of the 2 is 100, half of the 4 tens is 2 tens, and half of 0 is just 0. Ooh, so the 5 fact was right. I almost did 6. But 120, I can't get another group of 24 into that, right? So it must be the 5 fact. I'm wondering if I showed y'all the answers. If I did not, please forgive me. Okay, I'll show them at the end. 5 times 24, we already have as 120, right? Okay. And subtract 4, 1, and bring down another 4. Oh, this is really good news. I see 144 here. So I don't have a 144, but I do know that if I add a group of 24 to 120, I'm going to be at 140 something, and it's going to be 144. So it must end in a 6, right? Okay. 6 times 24 is 144. Subtract, and I will have 0. And that means my problem is over, and the answer is 3 and 5600, right? Okay, so if I forgot to show those answers, I'm sorry. Let's check. Yes, 0.241, and yes, 3.56. Okay, let's go on. Last set of problems. So go ahead and stop the video, write the problems, work the problems, come back. I'm going to assume you're back and we are ready to roll. Last set of problems. Let's go. Okay, we're going to go for purple this time because I like it. Okay, we have a decimal divisor, right? I know it has to be a whole number, so I know my divisor is going to be 33. How many times did I move that decimal? Just to the other side of the 3, one time. So I moved my decimal in the dividend one time, right? Oh, got to show y'all the answer. Almost forgot. The answer to this one is 2.16. The answer to the other one is 0.28. If you got those right, see you later, alligator. If you didn't get those right, stick around and watch me work it and find your mistake. Okay, so now I am ready. I've moved my decimal one time, and I am ready to write my new problem, which is a divisor of 33 and a dividend. Where's my decimal? It's after the 1, so that is the number 71, then the decimal, then the 28. And while I have my decimal right here, I'm going to go ahead and bring it straight up. Okay? Okay. So now I have a 2-digit number. I cannot divide a 7, a single-digit number, by a 2-digit number, so we are putting a 0. Okay. Then we're moving on to the 71. All right. How many 33s, how many groups of 33 can I get out of 71? Well, over here, I've already done my 2 fact. 66 is pretty close to 71, so I know it is a 2. Okay. 2 times 33 is 66. Now I subtract. I'm going to have to regroup, right? But when I regroup, that 7 is going to be a 6, so I'm not going to write anything. But that 1 I took is going to be 10 in this place, which if I put it with the 1 is now an 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. Okay? And bring down the 2 because 5 is less than 33. Cannot get a group of 33 out of 5. Okay, so we have 52. Well, 52, 66 is too much. So I have to just use one group here. 1 times 33 is 33. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's do 33. And I see when I put my 3 over here, and I know I'm going to subtract, I'm going to have to regroup, right? When we subtract, because I can't do 2 minus 3. So regroup. That leaves me, take away 1, I will have 4. And takes that 1 over to the next place. That's going to be 10 plus the 2 that's there is 12. So this is 12 minus 3, which is 9. 4 minus 3, which is 1. I check. Is 19 less than 33? Yes. So let me bring down. Bring down the 8. Ooh, that's big, right? So I'm going to think about 200. Well, if I multiply by 10, what is 33 times 10? That would be 330. That's well over 200. So I'm going to try 330. That's not easy to take half of, but if I take half of 10 is 5. So half of 300 I've memorized is 150, right? And then half of 30 is 15. So that's 150 plus 15 would be 165. So let me write 165 here. I don't know, y'all. Is that enough or not? If I add 33 to 165, that'd be 195, 190. Oh my gosh! Yes! Do y'all see what I did? I just took another group of 33 and added it. So 3 tens more would be 9 tens, and 3 ones more would be 8 ones. I got so excited. 6. Okay. Now, if I didn't know that, what would I have to do? I'd have to set 33 up here, and I'd have to multiply it by 5 or 6 if you didn't know the 10 trick, right? Or if that doesn't make sense, or you're not easy. I mean, it's not easy for you to take half. So you just have to start multiplying. So if I had multiplied this by 6, let's just check it for friends that need me to do that. That's going to be an 8 because 6 times 3 is 18. Regroup 1. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus the 1 is 19. That is 198. Okay. So I've proven it with the multiplication. So now I can subtract it out. And of course, when I subtract 198, it's going to give me 0. Right? So I am done. Okay. Going over next door. Next problem. What color do I feel like now? Ooh, I love this lime green, y'all. So we're going to do it. All right, here we go. We need this to be a whole number. We know it needs to be the number 33, but I have to focus on moving it for each of those digits, right? Each place value. So that's 2 times I moved it. So I must move my decimal in my dividend 2 times as well. There it is. Okay, so now my new divisor will be 33, the whole number. And my dividend will be, well, look, I'm not going to think about numbers that are in front of a whole number. Nine's a whole number. I don't have to have, not numbers, sorry, zeros in front of a whole number. I don't need those. So I can just mark those out. So I can just have the 9 and 24 hundredths. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my decimal straight up before I forget. Now, look at this problem. The divisor, 9 and a little more than 9, is a lot less. I'm sorry, the dividend, 9 and a little over 9, is a lot less than the divisor, 33. So that means I cannot get even one group of 33 out of 9 and something, right? So my answer must be, because my dividend is smaller than my divisor, my answer must be less than 1 whole. So I know this should be 0 because my answer has to be on the right of the decimal. Okay, so let's look. Sure enough, I can get 0 groups of 33 out of 9. Okay, so now I'm going to look at 92. Well, I'm going to go over here and just check my 3 fact real quick. If I added one more group of 33, look, y'all, if you have the 2 and the 1, it's really easy to put a line under that and add the 2 together to get 3 groups. So this would be 9 and this would be 9. Uh-oh, that's 99. So that's more than 92. So I can only use 2 groups of 33. Okay, so 2 times 33 is 66. Okay, so I'm going to subtract, which means I'm going to have to regroup. Why you learn subtraction before you learn division. So take away 1 from 9, and that will leave me 8. And that's a funky looking 8. Sorry. Hope your 8 looks better. Okay, regroup, and that becomes 10 of the next place. 10 with that 2 is 12. So 12 minus 6 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. 26. That's pretty close to 33. And that tells me that I'm going to need a higher fact when that number is higher on the next time. Go ahead and bring down the 4. because 26 is less than 33. But which did I try? 7, 8, or 9? 9, the 9 fact's going to be close to 330 because if I take away 33, I'm going to be close to 300, just under 300. So I'm going to try the 8 fact. Since we haven't doubled to do the 4, I'm just going to go ahead and write the 8 fact over here. And I'm going to write it on this side. 33 times 8. I'm guessing the 8 fact's going to be right, but I don't know for sure because I've already forgotten what the answer was. All right, so 8 times 3 is 24. Regroup A2, right? 8 times 3 is 24 again, plus the 2 is 26. 2, oh, yay, yay, yay! So I'm going to put an 8 because it's going to give me exactly 264. When I multiply it out, which means when I subtract, I'm going to get 0, which means I am done. Hope y'all have a great day. Rewatch this video if necessary.